Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Massachusetts Central Radio Show. I'm your host, Lincoln Mo, here for another one. Here for 219. Here on Saturday, it is about 11:50. About 11:50. So I'm going to only have. So as you guys know, the rule is if I start it in on the day that it's supposed to be shot, it's technically a day. So it's 219. I'm not cheating. I'm not doing anything stupid. So hello everybody, and welcome back to another one of these. So yeah, hello everybody. I'm doing well. So today was actually very busy at work today, but that's not what I'm going to be talking about. Since it's Saturday, Automotive Talk. Haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm going to have at it because I feel it and I want to do it. So you guys are probably going to have to listen to me for 15 minutes. So my talk today is, if I can prop you guys up without killing myself. So yeah, guys, I usually don't do too many of these. I usually haven't done one of these in a while. I'm going to, my biggest thing is I usually have a theme for my, I usually have a theme for my videos and stuff like that. So my topic for today is one that is near and dear to me because it's a favorite car of mine. I love it, and I'm always a big fan of it. And I always think that the GT cars from around the world are okay, and they're good looking and stuff like that. But nothing beats the Chevrolet Corvette. So for those of you who don't know of it, the Corvette was built was shown at the Motorama show in the 1950s. It debuted in 1953 as a two-door convertible, although you could have a manual soft top with it. Still built 650 horsepower, 2-speed power glide automatic. And it sold for $34,400. $3,400 before options. I think it was like 36, 37. Then a year later it dropped to 2,900, and then 55 was when the competition started to creep in, and that's when we got the Ford Thunderbird. And the Ford Thunderbird ruled the roost for a little while until Chevy got a V8 in their car. Chevy did get a V8 in the year that the Thunderbird debuted, but it wasn't powerful enough, and it wasn't very sturdy, and it was kind of plasticky and all that other stuff. And you could only get the V8 with 195 horsepower, and as we all know, the Thunderbird could go anywhere from 185 to 200. So, plus you could build it up. Plus it was a Thunderbird, so you could get any carburetor setup with it. You could actually outgun a Corvette and outhandle a Corvette. It wasn't until the 58, 59 that the Thunderbird went to four seats, and it turned into a big fat luxury car. Therefore, Corvette didn't have its status, and the Corvette was rather unchallenged for many years. Challenge for many years. It didn't really have a equivalent in the American lineup. I mean, there's some luxury cars that had as much power, but they were too heavy, and therefore they were kind of slower. So and stuff like that. 62 is when it's the final year of the first generation. That's when it had the 360 horse 327 cubic inch, 360 horse, V8, fuel injected, 4-speed manual, and it was a brilliant car. Raced very well. It was actually a race car with about 360 odd horsepower. Actually, this is back when the cars were stock and they didn't have 5,000 million horsepower, and they didn't have hybrid systems, and they didn't have sequential gearboxes and stuff like that. This was just 4 on the floor, your muscles and your grit to take this car up to 150, 160 miles an hour back in 1962. Then C2 started the bigger changes as General Motors started to develop bigger engines. They eventually developed the 396 in 1965, and 66, 67 they came up with the 427, which would eventually become a very, very, very iconic engine, the 427 cubic inch big block. This was the motor that really pushed this car along. Unfortunately, in 1967, the C3 went up, the C2, the second generation went away, and we got the third generation, which started in 1968. So yeah, 4 years for the second generation versus almost 13 to 14 years for the almost 14, 15 years the C3 would be around until the C4 was unveiled in 84. The C3 kind of was the years where the car became less of a muscle car and it started turning into more of the sports car that we know today. Back when, the reason why I'm saying this is, but back in the 70s, for those of you younger than 20 or 30, for those of you younger than 20 or 30, and didn't read the history books, for those of you in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you guys will know I'm talking about the fuel crisis in 1974, 1975-ish. The engines went down. We were already going down to we were going to unleaded gas already, and we were choking them. The horsepower was getting choked already. But 74, 75, 76 is when the horsepower started to go down. In 1970, when you ordered a Corvette, you could order it with a 454 big block with 425 to 450 horsepower, although people say it had 500, almost 500 somewhere in racing trim. In 1970, the most powerful motor, of course, was the L88, which was over. It said in the manual pamphlets 430, but we know it was around 560, 580, and the car could go 170, 180 miles an hour. It was mostly a drag car, mostly in a street racing car, it's a road racing car. So, and plus people hot rodded them to make much more horsepower after that. And then it went from an L88 that had 560 to 580 horsepower to 1976 to 165. So it started to become more of a sports car rather than a muscle car, because fortunately with 165 horsepower, it's not really much of a muscle car, is it? It's kind of a sports car at that point. And the car weighed about 3,500 pounds, and it had absorb impact in bumpers and stuff like that, so it wasn't really much of a cruiser. So it really hurt the vehicle's reputation. C4, the wedgie cars. This lasted this lasted way past the year I was born. C3 is 83, 84, 80/84 to 1996. I was actually born in the middle of the whole of the whole Steve Ford run, 1989, because it's my birth year. Not too much to talk about. Remember, this was still smog era America. We just went 80, 81, 82, 83. We were still going through inflation, and we were still going through high gas prices back then. Like gas was like $1.50 to $2 a gallon. So, and then eventually when I grew up, Corvette had about 400, had about, not 400 horsepower, had about 240 horsepower. By the time I was 6 or 7 years old, Corvette had around 450, thanks to 505 to the wheels. We had this ZR1, which was like 60, 70 grand back then. And then C7, one of my favorite generations, of course, because if you guys were wondering, I actually like the first generation 962. My other generation is the C5, because this is when Corvette went racing, actually. Well, Corvette's always been racing, but this is when Corvette decided to do a factory effort with the C5, and hence the C5R with bringing back the 427. I used to follow the C5 all the time in Auto Week magazines and stuff like that, and the C5 was a cool one. I remember it won. I remember I was witness to actually cross the finish line in Le Mans 2004, even though I didn't watch the whole race. I watched like the last 10 minutes. Back in June, I didn't have anything to do one day, and I just ended up going on a speech, and I'm like, "Wow, this race still on?" And really not. The year after, though, I watched the 24 Hours because the new C6R was debuting. Because the new C6R was debuting. The 2004-2005 model was debuting, and I got to watch Aston and Corvette go at it for 2-3 years in GT1, and the C6 was a cool car. I always thought the C6R sounded like a brute, and sounded like the Grim Reaper of the Angel of Death, because it has such a ground pounding rumble. And I actually got to see the car up close for the first time in my life, actually in 2007, almost towards the end of its lifespan, because the car by then had already been 2-3 years old, and the car had been 2 years old by then. And I got to see that ground pound and rattle, and it always puts a smile on my face every time I hear it, whether it be in a video or just up close when I hear the motor. The motor sounds absolutely amazing. If you guys get a chance to see a C6R, I highly recommend it. It'll rock your bones, I'll tell you that. So you definitely know it's a Chevy Corvette, big block. And then the C6 went on from 2005 to about 2014. They switched to the GT2 class, GTE class, that's it now. And Corvette started to go through some changes. The C5 was also the first time the car had exposed lights from C2 to C4. It was, well, C5. It was the hideaway headlights from C2 to C5, and then C6. C6 ended that, and then C7. C6 kind of made it more angular, more muscular, more angled, more chiseled looking. Got to hear that race car a bit. It's also my favorite generation because I've actually sat in a Corvette Grand Sport, and I've actually seen the Corvettes race at Lime Rock. I saw them race with the new. I actually didn't get a chance to see them with the new C7R until 2016. because they missed Lime Rock 2014, 2015, so it took me 3 years to go see them and go see them in action. I saw them on TV all over the world, but it wasn't until 2016 Lime Rock that I actually got to see them race. And what a race it was to actually go see them, because it was the first time I actually seen them win the GT class in over. It's the first time I saw them win the GT class in over a GT race there in over maybe 5-6 years, probably 7. Oh, actually 2000. I saw them last win in 2008. Yeah, so a little over 8 years. So a little less than a decade, and that was the last time we saw the C6 win, because obviously there's obviously 19 great battles, great racing, and stuff like that. They should have won a couple of races, but I think 2019 was bad because of the temperatures, stuff like that. The one thing that appeals to me about Corvette is that it's good General Motors. General Motors was actually thinking of killing the Vet in 1955, 1956. Good they didn't, because it would have been a shame to lose an icon. So I'm just happy that General Motors decided on that and made that a thing. So that's my premise. Now, I just want to say, everybody, I like all the luxury brands that are in Europe. I do like the looks of Ferraris. I do like the looks of Maseratis, Lamborghinis. We're actually reviving the Countach for $3 million. I heard today. So Aston Martin, Lotus, all those are storied brands, and I think they all contribute to the history of racing and car development as we Toyota as well, with the hybrid systems, and Honda and everything else with their screaming V12s, past and present. So yeah. The one thing I like about Corvettes is that they're always that manly. They always have that manly tone to them. They're just bespoke. I don't mean to dump on Camaro fans or people who have the Camaros, but the Camaro has a special presence. Don't get me wrong. The Camaro has its own presence and everything, and I like the Camaro. It's got a great look. I like the 1968 through 69 models. I'll probably do something on the Camaro, how I feel about that, but it's just a unique thing, and I think it's exclusive. It's nice to, be part of an exclusive band of people that, like a car that's been around for eons. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The other thing is I just think it's a nice status symbol. Unfortunately, some people don't like the new one, because I've been delaying this one forever. I'm gonna get to the elephant in the room, the C8. The C8 is quite the departure from the C1, C2, C3. They've delved into mid-engine Corvettes over the years. It's not something that they wanted. It's not something the purists wanted. It's not something a fan like me would have ever thought. I think it's pretty cool that General Motors is thinking about the future and is thinking about how they're going to compete with the world and everything like that. And if you have to go mid-engine, which the Corvette was going to do eventually at some point, because there's been tons of race cars that have been mid-engine. So, and the Corvette engines have been in prototypes for many years. The 6-liter and the 7-liter Vet engines have been that small block Chevy turned up to 6, 7. 7.5 liters. Well, that small block Chevy, and then the evolving the big block Chevy. I think it looks cool. The C8's a acquired taste. I am not a big fan of the race car's engine note just yet. It will grow on me because at some point, because I like the big fat rumble of the C6, the C5, the C6, and the C7. And C3s were also very known for being very fast on the racetrack. If any of you guys are seeing Greenwood Corvette, you guys will know that those cars were capable of 250 to 220 miles per hour on the Mulsanne Le Hunandier, also known as the Mulsanne Straight at Le Mans, or Circuit de la Sarthe. Those cars were the wide body. They had the wide hip look. They were able to go 220. They were able to outrun some pretty good stuff. They were able to outrun Ferrari, Aston Martin, and all that other stuff. Lotus. Lotus didn't have anything like that. So yeah, Corvette's a pretty storied brand, and it's the reason why I like it. As I said, disclaimer, I don't hate on Aston Martin, I don't hate on Ferrari. All those brands have their own contribution to Jaguar, have their own contributions. I think they're all great manufacturers. I do like different cars from different ones, and I think the reason why Corvette's good today is because it had influence from Jaguar, Ferrari, Porsche, I forgot Porsche, Ford, because they did make sports cars. They did make sports cars for sometimes. They made the Ford Capri and the Ford GT40, and the Ford Escort, and the Ford Galaxy, some great race cars. So those cars pretty much influence, oh yeah, the Thunderbird, of course. The Thunderbird, all those cars kind of influenced the Corvette to get better. So, and they had the cues for, the first C1, if you guys look at a photo of it, it shamefully looks like the wiring on the front of the headlights shamefully looks like Ferrari. So, even though the engine's 6-cylinder and stuff like that, it's just amazing how the car started from just a small, low revving, everyday man work truck V6, straight six because the Stonewall 6 only had about 100 horsepower, about 100 horsepower in regular applications. Imagine that, a truck back in 1953 having out 100 horsepower when most of them have 200, 300, 200, 300, 400, 500 now with their engines and stuff like that, to a mid-engines 495 horsepower, 195 mile an hour track monster that can pretty much rival anything on the street now and everything in the world now. So it's amazing. So it's important that we celebrate these brands, because the gas engine's not going to live as long. It's only going to be around maybe another 15 years, and then we're going to bid it adieu, and stuff like that. I'm hoping it stays around till at least 2040, 2045 somewhere, because electric engines aren't going to completely take over. But yeah, I like the Corvette, and I like the Corvette. I love it. It's a great machine. I have plenty of models to even show it. So I'm just going to show you one of them. I have this one right here, the C5R. That is a Laguna Seca edition, and that was a race winner in 2005, and it beat Ferrari, Aston Martin, and Maserati back then. Back when it was a world beater, and it still is a world beater now that it's mid-engine. So, and the blue one at the top, that's a 2003. That's when they didn't win the 24. They came second to Ferrari, and stuff like that. And that's one of its competitors right there, the Aston Martin DBR9, which was a great sounding car. It was great, formidable competition. Again, I don't mind Aston Martin. I think Aston Martin did a great job with the car, and they were able to make that car ballistically fast in a straight line. It was amazing to watch those two go head to head. Reminds me of some of my school days when I used to, I was a power with the boys. So I was thinking I was the Corvette, So yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna bid this one adieu. As usual, everybody. Long live America. God bless America. Long live our freedoms and our rights. Pray for everybody that we've lost either to COVID or to natural causes. I also pray for my friends. Let them all stay strong. And I will see you guys in 220 tomorrow. Peace out, folks.